Hello. Welcome to SILLY Network News. I'm your host. How's everybody? How's your tea? I don't have a tea. I've got a Pepsi. Because that's where we are at the moment in our lives. That's where I am. Guys, I seriously don't know. Hang on. How is everyone? How's everyone's tea? How's everyone going? Guys, I heard that the Silly Serious worked with Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth to plan the operation in Venezuela. It was actually her Nuevo Mar-a-Lago. It was me. I actually had this crazy idea. I was like, I want to go into like lolcow PR with like Emberlyn Reed and just like, this is how you rehabilitate yourself. But you're right, I should go into political spectacle design. It's like, what is your job? I'm a spectacle designer. I come up with big political events to distract the populace. Yeah. That's what I do. Everyone good? My hands are, I don't know, not good. But everything is well. I watched a movie last night. My mum wanted to watch it. We watched Nuremberg. Anyone seen it? Don't spill tea on your laptop. That's not advised. I spilt orange juice on my dad's laptop watching Australian Idol when Matt Corby was competing, and the laptop broke and I never admitted to it. Sorry, Dad. I was like, I don't know why it's not working. I haven't watched this Pluribus show that everyone's speaking of. Listen, Nuremberg, I'm going to spoil something for you, and it's not going to come as a surprise to most of you. I fucking hated it. My mum liked it though, so I liked that she liked it, but I'm walking through Richmond with a solo. Yeah, hell yeah. Asking myself, what in the fuck is going on? It's so true. Okay, we will talk about the DOJ indictment. Because actually, this is what I wanted to talk about in terms of Nuremberg, right? So in Nuremberg, I don't like it because I don't like real world events to be dramatized by people who normally make superhero movies. Just as a general rule, personally, I think they don't know how to handle it appropriately. Especially when, if you are making a movie about Nazis, the problem with like a traditional superhero format is that a lot of villains have as many fans as the superheroes do, right? So you need to be really clever about how you make evil people evil in a historical retelling of evil things. On top of that, you are dealing with charismatic figures. So the lead figure in the Nuremberg film is Goring, okay? Charismatic guy. Is there a high-pitched sound? This happens sometimes. Oh God, I can't be bothered with this. I need it. I need a tech person. There we go. Did I fix it? Can I hear a high-pitched sound? Are we hearing it? Hang on. Help is on its way. We are... When I talk. Okay, so it's definitely my microphone then. Hang on. Everyone, wait. Hello? 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 I don't have a noise gate. Oh, maybe I should turn down my mic. Maybe I should turn this down a bit. Does that help? Okay, cool. Okay, so Nuremberg. Yeah, so I can now you've driven me insane because I think I can hear a high pitched sound just in my room. But it's good that we dealt with it. Okay, so you have this quite charismatic person, which is Goring, and then on top of that, you get him to be played by an extremely charismatic actor, which is Russell Crowe. And that's not his fault. He did a great job. I love Russell Crowe as an actor, so he didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, you have the problem of making people too likable, right? Too even if they're not likable, there's something about them that is appealing. And it actually got me thinking about Maduro, because we all know, I don't need to say it, Maduro is not a good guy. Okay? And that's not because he's a leftist, he's just a bad guy. He's a bad guy, okay? Read history. If you need me to tell you why he's a bad guy, go talk to a Venezuelan, okay? Not a good guy. Okay? I'm not saying anything crazy. Okay? But as is the case with many dictators, man has charisma. As we now know, Donald Trump only got upset with him and wanted to get rid of him when he started dancing too much. Because that's Donald Trump's thing, you know? How dare he dance? How dare he have such riz? He has to go. So, my issue is that this man does have a lot of charisma. Okay? Now you've brought him to America. And I'm starting to think as well that it's probably more and more... everything I say is speculation, just so you know. In case you weren't aware, I actually don't have I'm not in the Signal group chat. I don't have an in with these people, so I don't know. I'd love to. If someone wants to accidentally add me to the Signal chat, I will sit there very quietly and broadcast everything you say. But I am thinking, yeah, Fabian, it's definitely not fentanyl. There's no fentanyl coming from, but fentanyl's not even in the indictment. It's cocaine in the indictment, but we'll get there. I mean, if you're going to indict someone for cocaine, go for Colombia. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Stay on track, Joanna. I'm sorry when I'm sore. All discipline. Okay, so I'm starting to think more and more speculation that this was a deal orchestrated by Maduro, right? Where he would hand himself over and then they get their, trophy. There's minimal, bombing of Venezuela. Ultimately, the party stays intact. It feels kind of orchestrated to me, but I don't think enough thought has been put in. I don't think enough thought has been put into the amount of damage that Maduro could do in terms of a media type coup, right? Like in this movie, Nuremberg, spoilers, but not big spoilers. The spoiler is World War II has already happened. You know what happened. The Nuremberg trials have already happened. So what can I really spoil? But in the movie, in the film, Nuremberg, Goring is prepared and excited to be put on trial because he sees it as an opportunity to be able to do propaganda again for the Reich and to kind of restate and reestablish the vision and to present it as a rational vision. So it's all part of his plan to surrender, to go on trial. That's part of his plan so that he'll be able to testify, right? And I think that obviously, he could have had a much worse outcome. He could have been Gaddafi'd, right? Instead, he's now come to America where, what are the options? He has to be put on trial, right? They're not going to kill him. Killing him also doesn't work because you make a martyr out of him immediately. So you can't kill him. Okay? So you have to put him on trial. Good morning. You have to put him on trial, but the charges seem kind of flimsy, extremely flimsy, and we will go through them in a second. And the only thing that's really holding Maduro back from turning this into a media spectacle that works in his favor is that he doesn't speak English, at least not well enough to be able to do it. Because think as well about the current Gen Z, right? And their willingness to just take a bad guy who says things that sort of make sense to them in some very strange way and amplify it. Like, think about a few years ago when they were like sending around Osama bin Laden's, was it Osama bin Laden's letter? And they were like, whoa, this guy makes so much sense. He's so right. Look at Osama bin Laden's letter. This man was speaking truth. Right? Well, this is the thing, Marwan, is it they have to, so he's going to appear before a federal judge Monday morning. Now, the judge that has been, the Unibop, like lots of these people, they'll like read their shit and they're like, wow. Or even Gaddafi. Who among us here hasn't spent a moment, espousing the thought of Gaddafi? Where they'll be like, wow. I think it's definitely a test run for a lot of other places, but I don't disagree with you, Drag and Drop. I'm just trying to focus in on what's going to happen. Like, I've got a couple of different perspectives to go through. Yeah, yes, avocadorable. No but needed. The point is, if he gets any sort of media trial, which we can assume is inevitable to an extent because, I mean, I guess I was going to say the media is kind of in the back pocket though, right? Because both Washington Post and New York Times knew about the raid and sat quiet on it. Yeah, a large part of the American populace speaks Spanish. I'm just saying it would overall be far more effective if he had a stronger, like in the case of Goring, he had a strong grasp of English, right? So they've been indicted, he and his wife. أتكلم عربية مروان. So Nicolas Maduro, I don't know. I have to look it up, avocadorable. I'm just concerned how it's going to happen because the judge that's been appointed, so he's appearing on Monday before Alvin Hellerstein. Hellerstein, depends how you want to say it. Now, he's a stickler, apparently, from the research I've done. He's a stickler for due process. He's a combat veteran. He's overseen some of the largest cases in US history. And he's the judge who shut down all of the bullshit stuff that Trump put out about the alien enemies claim. So this is a man who's like a tight stickler. Oh, that's so crazy, Javier. Wow. Yeah, but this judge, Alvin Hellerstein, he's a stickler for the law. He's a stickler for due process. So in terms of the strength of this case, I'm concerned, right? Because the actual indictment is wobbly. And then speaking of someone being a bad guy, cartel money buys you great lawyers, right? And a great lawyer should be able to argue that Maduro should walk on procedural claims because there are blatant violations of due process here already, right? And so everyone needs to hope that Hellerstein finds merit on every single pre-trial action taken against Maduro, like his kidnapping, right? Otherwise, there's a serious chance this whole trial gets thrown out. And there's obviously the huge hurdle, right? The huge hurdle of arguing jurisdiction. that can't automatically be presumed, and I don't think this judge will automatically presume it. So you have the flimsy charges to begin with, you have lack of jurisdiction, you have due process violations before the trial, right? And you have a judge that cares a lot about all of these things, and you have a man who is great in front of the media, seems a little what is I don't know. That's what the movie last night made me think about. So I was like, we don't want Maduro giving any interviews or anything like that. What's the case law for that, Avocadorable? Has our case law long held that we can kidnap the head of another state on domestic charges? Because everything I've been reading, like from Yale professors, etc., say this is very illegal, who've been arguing with J.D. Vance. They've said there's absolutely no precedent for this. So I'd be interested to read it, because that's not the information I'm seeing. So I'd like to see the counter information. Nuegra, the Panama president? Oh, but he wasn't president. He wasn't in charge anymore. And that was after his own shit had failed. And that was on actual drug trafficking. Hang on, we should look that up. Hernandez. Everyone, wait a second. Drugs, Honduras. Pardoned him because of the network state. Do you want the sub goal to continue from? I don't know. Well, I don't like changing it because I feel like I feel bad for Nathan because he gives me all these subs and then I change it and I feel like it looks like I don't appreciate the subs if I change it. It's like I'm greedy. I do appreciate it because I'm trying to work out how to balance my life and what I can do. Okay, let's just see this. Okay. We're just doing Wikipedia, guys. I think there's like, honestly, guys, Nathan is so generous. I truly think that there's like 10 subs that aren't from him. Okay. On 7 October 2015. Wait, am I? Yes, this is correct, right? 2015, the United States Department of Justice released a statement from saying that Jamie Rosenthal, his son Yanni Rosenthal, and nephew Yankel Rosenthal, as well as 7 other businesses, were labeled specially designated narcotics traffickers under the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act. The first time this had been used against a bank outside. As a result, the Honduran National Commission for Banks and Insurance forcibly liquidated Banco Cotal. Hi, Javier. Welcome over to Twitch. President Hernandez's brother was convicted in the USA on drug trafficking charges, sentenced to life. After Tony Hernandez's conviction, 7,000 supporters, including members of the officers, marched in... How are we saying this, guys? I've only just mastered Ouagadougou. Tegucigalpa. Tegucigalpa. Criticized his brother's conviction based on the testimony of killers. Why is there nothing here about... Okay, I thought there was literally nothing about it. I was like, what? Oh, shit. I keep trying to redo my freaking setup, and I just shouldn't. Because, you know, why would you? Okay. 2021, he fought a campaign against Ricardo Alvarez to try and become the candidate. Alvarez, poll conducted, 3rd place. Boring. Became the nationally defeated. Okay. The Honduran constitution allows the revocation of citizenship of anyone who promotes changing the law to allow re-election. However, Hernandez's National Party, which also controls... What does this have to... Oh, I'm in the wrong section. Guys, why didn't you tell me? Yeah, I was arguing that before, Kitten, but some people seem unimpressed with this argument. I'm arguing that this is, like, obviously, what are his options? This is a much better option than getting Gaddafi'd, right? So first and foremost, I think it's a way to not get Gaddafi'd. His party stays in charge. Chavism is alive and well, you know. Thank you, Formica. He did not gift you that sub. No, you're not in trouble for coming late. Thank you. Wow. That feels amazing. Okay. End of 2019, US prosecutors unsealed a document from 2015 which revealed Hernandez was himself subject to... Hernandez was identified as a co-conspirator, according to a document filed US district, alleged 15... Sorry guys, this is how I read. I can't read out loud to you. You just got to deal with it. Document released, blah, 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 brothers, blah. On the 7th of February 2022, it was announced that Juan Orlando Hernandez's US visa was revoked by the Department of State at the start of July 2021 due to involvement in corruption and narcotics.
Look at you.
On the 14th... Ah! Hannah! Doing your part for the sheriff's department. Thank you. Look at you. Wow, guys. Nathan's gonna wake up and be jealous. Hell yeah. Imagine this is gonna become a campaign. People will just sub and be like, I'm not Nathan. Okay. Extradited. Extradition is not the same as kidnapping someone in the middle of the night while they are the leader of a country. That is not the same thing. Yes, there is a long history of people being extradited. That is not uncommon. You can extradite people. Yes. And he was, look, appealed Ortez's ruling. The Supreme Court rejected. This is the Supreme Court of Honduras. They participated in his extradition. His own country participated. This is not the same as sending in special forces to kidnap someone while bombing a city. There is not a long historical legal precedent for this kind of action. That's one, an insane thing to say. And two, it's beside the point. We are so far past whether or not this is legally permissible or not. Like, it's actually I think if you're still in the realm of trying, like, what is the point? What is the point? They obviously don't care about the law. They didn't even try and present a legal precedent for this before doing it. So what is the point? The court case will be fine just as long as Maduro doesn't get the same courtroom artist as Diddy. The crazy thing as well is that, like, something I'd like to retract, and I will talk about China in, like, more detail later, is... because I did this. I freaked out. I was like, oh, it's over for Taiwan now. It's over for Taiwan. Definitely over for Ukraine to an extent, right? Okay. I don't like phrasing it like that because it doesn't acknowledge how hard Ukraine has been fighting and how much they've been able to do just through, like, pure grit, right? It's not over for Ukraine until Ukraine decides it's over for Ukraine. But what I'm saying is something has definitely happened in Anchorage between Trump and Putin, right? There's definitely been some sort of deal reached between those two. But when it comes to China and Taiwan, to be like, oh, it's over for Taiwan now, like China's gonna go for Taiwan. China has never seen Taiwan as an international issue. Like, there's never been a stage where China has seen Taiwan other than an internal affairs issue where Taiwan is like a rogue, disobedient region. And so this doesn't change anything in China's calculus, really. So I do just want to correct the record on that because I was wrong on that. Let me just come back over to this. Well, yeah, exactly, Javier, because the other thing is the US has always, the one precedent that's worth mentioning, not a legal precedent, is the precedent of the United States loving to demonstrate how, okay, I will paste this, thank you, Avocadorable, and look into it, but nothing I have seen affirms that you can kidnap a foreign leader. Hang on. Well, Taiwan is an international law issue to people outside of China. But what I'm saying is China has never viewed Taiwan. Illinois. Sorry, guys, my copy isn't working, so I just have to write it down. Thank you for subbing up intensity. Or for getting a sub. Either way, I'm happy with it. Okay, I'll look into that. Yeah, obviously for everyone else, Taiwan is an international law issue, but for China, they're like, no, Taiwan is part of China and it's an internal issue and it has nothing to do with you. So all I'm saying is the claims now that something has massively changed for China and Taiwan, no. The situation remains the same there. But I do think it's worth us looking into. Let me go through what else there. So, yeah, the charges against Maduro are stupid. It's definitely delicious the way this has been set up, that the US can prosecute foreign heads of state for their official acts, right? In American courts. But a United States president within American courts is automatically assumed to be immune from prosecution because his acts are official acts. So that's the way the current law is trying to be presented. We can kidnap a foreign head of state and charge them in the US for their official acts, but our own president can't be prosecuted for anything he does that's an official act because he's automatically immune. Okay, let me check what else I wanted to talk to you about. China or Russia? China or Russia? China doesn't give a fuck about the world, though. Eve's born. Like, China... I was watching the news this morning. That's right. I watched the news. And the Taiwanese government is, like, encouraging the Taiwanese people to learn how to use guns. Because they're like, well, we need to start prepping for what's going to happen if there is an attempt on Taiwan, and everyone should know how to use a gun. That's what I'm saying, Marshan. It's like the last thing you want is like a charismatic person given a media pulpit, and the last thing you want is for these like charges. You have a legal stickler as your judge. You have a bunch of pretrial due process issues. You have a bunch of charges that are questionable. You have a jurisdiction question. I don't know. I find that stressful, but I'm sure the administration's thought that through. Yeah, he's charismatic. As it's kind of to be the kind of evil leader that Maduro is, right? To lead any country in that kind of way, you do have to have a certain level of charisma. But the problem is, you get him in front of the media and he starts saying things like, I would like to ask the American people how they feel that all of this money has been spent to capture me and do things in my country while you guys still don't have health care. And that TikTok shit's gonna go wild, right? I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't think it will be televised. Jurisdiction is, of course, an issue of United States law. Look at all of the recent immigration cases that have been happening. Of course, it's an issue in United States law. It's ridiculous to say. Who has jurisdiction over this issue is, of course, an issue. Yeah, I think they're most likely going to put him on trial and not let him speak, but if he gets off on the stuff, what's to stop him going to the movia? Media. My shit. That's what I'm saying, Marshen. It's like experts don't. I'm telling you. Oh my god, I don't know how you do this every time, Avocadorable. I don't know how you do this every time. The article you read in Bloomberg, those experts said it wouldn't be an issue. There are other experts who have highlighted that it could be an issue. I don't think you can just point to one set of experts and be like, well, this one guy from this one university said it's not going to be an issue. Therefore, all the other guys from all the other universities, they're just fucking wrong, and we should just accept it because it's in Bloomberg. So obviously, closed case. Stop talking about it. You have a judge who is an absolute stickler for procedure, raising the fact that there may be a jurisdiction issue isn't a crazy thing to do, and no, it's not a shut case. And we'll see tomorrow morning if it's a shut case. Okay? American. Okay, sorry, thank you. It's such a dangerous thing though, Dragon, to televise it. Because it's not him getting the attention. And if you think about the fact that the last straw for Trump or someone in Trump's camp was that Maduro is dancing, and obviously Trump owns dancing. Like, he doesn't want Maduro to outrisk him. Like, when you look at how hard Trump, like, I've never seen a man who wants to be another man more in my life. Trump wants to be Obama so bad. It's insane. It's crazy. So, do you think he's gonna put someone who is like compared to him often in a position where he's gonna get a whole lot of like clout? I don't know. I think but that being said, you are right. Because this man has been paraded in front of the media so much in the last like 48 hours. It's crazy. So many outfit changes. Oh my god. Avocadorable. I can't. I can't. And I simply won't. Do you know the interesting thing about Mamdani? You know how he called Trump on the day after Maduro was kidnapped to be like, hey, I just want to register my lack of approval for this? It's so interesting to me. On this super busy day, the Trump was like, yeah, I'll take his call. Like, he's got a crush. It's so cute. I need you guys to know. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's fucking go. Everyone give me a second.
Professor Al Gillespie is...
Let's have a look at some stuff. Since it's so important to you guys, I'm not a fucking law streamer, but I'm willing to do this for you guys.
An expert on international law and the laws of war. He joined me earlier and I asked him whether the US was justified in seizing Maduro.
In theory,
I've typed with like these two fingers. And the worst thing that's happening for me right now is my thumb. I don't know if you can see how misshapen it's become. Oh my god, Avocadorable, go fucking stream yourself. Holy fucking shit. I'm gonna kill you. International law. Sorry, you don't like that. Sorry, you don't like that. US operator undermines international law. Sorry, you don't like that. Let me find that. Maduro against international norms. Unprecedented violation of international law. Let's try and find you a domestic one. Because the Yale professor I like isn't good enough for you. You got to cite fucking precedent from the 1800s.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Well, I went to bed Friday night thinking I was going to wake up on a normal Saturday, only to find out that the United States military had gone down to Venezuela.
This guy looks like a fucking conservative.
Plucked Nicolas Maduro and his spouse, bringing him back to the United States, and now I've had an opportunity to read the indictment. I recognize that we're getting a little bit outside of our lane, but anytime we have an opportunity to break down the law in simple English, we will take that opportunity. A lot of people are wondering, what are the allegations? What's going on here? So what we're going to actually do today is we're going to break down the indictment so you can see at least what the allegations are. So today, let's spend a few minutes, let's get you educated, and let's talk about the indictment against Nicolas Maduro.
Some random guy.
Okay, America, I, like you, woke up Saturday morning thinking it was just going to be
I have to put a random guy on screen because me asserting that I read something somewhere is not sufficient.
normal, boring Saturday.
Avocadorable, I'm sorry, it's nothing personal. I actually have to time you out because you fucking pissed me off so bad.
And all of a sudden it appears that our United States military had gone down to Venezuela and, well, plucked Nicolas Maduro and a few other people and are bringing them back to the Southern District of New York where they will be arraigned. This is
the thing about the Southern District of New York, which I do love, is that anytime anyone does anything mildly related to money, because all the banks are in New York, everyone's like, oh, well, it's in New York's jurisdiction then. Put it in the Southern District of New York. Money was involved, therefore New York has jurisdiction.
Grand jury indictment. It has been unsealed now, so this is not exclusive. We're going to link it all up down below so you can read all of it. It kind of reads like a script to, I don't know, Scarface. But just so you can understand first what some of the allegations, and again, this is a mere thumbnail sketch of some of the allegations in the complaint. The United States Department of...
I'm going to do it now, Fornica, because we already started the video, but I just want to say, none of this was actually my fucking point. My fucking point was that you have a real issue when you have a flimsy indictment, a man who's great with the media, and a judge that's a stickler for the rules. You better hope that it can stand up to all of these problems, because currently on Twitter, there's a big discussion about whether or not it can. Because I'm seeing Yale professors and Harvard professors and lots of legal scholars say there is absolutely no precedent for this. There are massive violations occurring. There are massive problems in the indictment. So if you've already got legal experts saying it and you have someone who's openly ruled against Trump and is a stickler for the rules, and your person is someone who could garner a lot of public sympathy because they have a huge amount of charisma, you better hope you fucking did it right. You better hope that your prosecution is ready to go. That was my point. My point is, I'm not a fucking lawyer, nor would I want to be, because I'm not a boring fucking loser. No offense. But like, seriously, why do I care about this? I don't.
Justice alleges Nicolas Maduro Moros, the defendant, now sits atop a corrupt, illegitimate government that for decades has leveraged government power to protect and promote illegal activity, including drug trafficking. that drug trafficking has enriched and entrenched Venezuela's political and military elite, including...
So this is what has to be proven, though, to make it narco-terrorism, right? It has to be actions of the state. So it can't just be like, oh, he was drug trafficking. It has to be drug trafficking on behalf of enriching the state.
And then it includes all of the other named defendants in the indictment, all of these individuals right here. Again, the complaint is linked up down below, so if you want to know what their connections or positions are, you can check out the complaint for yourself. The complaint also then alleges that Nicolas Maduro, as well as all the other named defendants, partnered with other narco-terrorist organizations, leading to a conclusion. In sum, Maduro Moros and his co-conspirators have for decades partnered with some of the most violent and prolific drug traffickers and narco-terrorists in the world and relied upon corrupt officials throughout the region to distribute tons of cocaine to the United States. So then the complaint goes through each and every one of the co-defendants / co-conspirators to tie them in as to how they fit into this conspiracy. And then ultimately, and for some parts of America that is experimenting with socialism, let it be known that the United States Department of Justice says that one of the end results of it is as follows. The profits of that illegal activity flow to corrupt rank and file civilian, military, and intelligence officials who operate in a patronage system run by those at the top, referred to as the Cartel de los Soles, or Cartel of the Suns, a reference to the sun insignia affixed.
There's a lot of arguing about this cartel as well, in that it's not like a... This is back when I was first looking at Venezuela, like weeks ago. But apparently this Cartel de los Soles, or whatever it is a slang phrase used to refer to a group of, like, it's not a formalized actual group. It's not like a cartel. It's slang used for these people are involved in this. And so it's not actually a group. We'll have to re-look into it because I don't remember off the top of my head. Cartel of the CIA.
To the uniforms of high-ranking Venezuelan military officials. Okay, so what are the allegations? Let's remember, there are 4 separate counts to this indictment, and this indictment...
Yeah, I mean, there is no fentanyl there. There's no fentanyl trafficking. I don't know, Blue Dirt. I don't know what to say about that.
Is the product of a grand jury finding. Count 1, narco-terrorism conspiracy. In violation of all of these federal statutes right here, I do want to pay careful attention to this one right here, 18 United...
American, it's because they need a Honduran leader that will allow them to do Prospera, their network state. And he did that for his tech backers.
United States Code Section 3238. You will see that referenced in all 4 counts. What is that? Well, when there is conspiracy overseas to commit criminal activity in the United States, what venue do you get to charge them in? That's where 18 United States Code Section 3238 takes over. That statute specifically states, the trial of all offenses begun or committed upon the high seas or elsewhere out of the jurisdiction of any particular state or district shall be in the district in which the offender or any one or 2 or more joint offenders is arrested or is first...
Okay, so the jurisdiction is New York simply because Maduro was brought to New York first. Okay, so that's how they're getting jurisdiction. Hang on.
Is arrested or is first brought, which clearly they're going to be brought to the Southern District of New York. Count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to import cocaine. That's in violation of all of these federal statutes right here. Then it gets a little interesting because then we end up with count 3, possession of machine guns and destructive devices.
Stupid as shit.
And so what the allegations here are is that all of this drug trafficking, which...
I bet he went to sleep wishing he just bought a normal fucking AR-15.
Is spelled out in great detail here in the complaint, was done while people were armed with unlawful firearms. In fact, their activity was done knowingly used and carried firearms, and in furtherance of such crimes, knowingly possessed firearms and aided and abetted the use, carrying, and possession of firearms, to wit, machine guns that were capable of automatically shooting more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger, as well as destructive devices. That is in violation of all of these laws right here, some of which, for those of you who geek out on the channel all the time, will remember these are actual firearms laws. Count 4.
I don't think people, I mean, It's one of those like monkey paw things, isn't it? Like one of those unintended consequence things. Like I'm definitely not supporting Maduro. I don't want anything for Maduro. Maduro can rot in hell for all I care, right? But like it's that thing of like exactly that backlash, the TikTokification backlash that I was talking about previously, where it's like, oh, I don't understand things this person is saying. It's the problem I was talking about, even with Nick Fuentes and stuff, right? Where if someone says like one or two things that you agree to, people will agree without the bit that comes on the end. So Maduro's like, why isn't your president focusing on healthcare? And everyone's like, exactly. This Maduro guy is talking sense. And it's like, slow your roll. Slow down, you know? Because it's like, just because he's saying something you agree with doesn't mean you need to endorse the entire package.
Conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices in violation of all of these federal statutes right here. Now, two things. Number one, this is being charged under conspiracy. That is where two or more people agree to engage in criminal conduct, and one of those actors makes at least one overt act in furtherance of that criminal enterprise. It's a fancy way of saying a bunch of people got together, planned a criminal enterprise, and somebody did something about it. But the big reason that the United States Department of Justice added these machine gun counts in counts 3 and 4 is that for counts 1 and 2, this would serve as a significant sentencing enhancement if found guilty on counts 3 and 4. Now, how they're going to prove counts 3 and 4, that remains to be seen, but it is definitely added as a reason to add
I don't know if this guy is a good guy or a bad guy, lawyer-wise. I don't know what his deal is. I do like his cute little lisp, though.
Significant prison time to whatever they may be facing. So that is a short summary of the indictment against Nicolas Maduro, as well as several others. I do find it really fascinating that the United States government can go all the way down to Venezuela and pluck some of the most dangerous and fraudulent criminals on the planet. You know, can't seem to do the same thing when we're talking about Minnesota, California, or Illinois, but I digress. Okay, listen, we're going to go ahead, link up the indictment down below so that you don't have to take our word for it. You can geek out on it for yourself. Now, if you got any questions about this or about the stuff we normally cover here at Washington Gun Law, you should know how to get a hold of us by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information is down in the description box.
Gun lawyer.
If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool.
No,
click on that link right there and tell us all about
answer
it.
My,
if you want to subscribe.
Answer Avocadorable's question. I don't want... I simply want to know... And you know what, guys? It's a weakness. It's a weakness on my part, and I'll admit to it openly. I hate, and it's actually what would make me a better streamer. I acknowledge this, because this is what people like. I personally hate learning on stream. I like to learn privately and then come and stream. I don't want to learn on stream. I don't want to bring up a source and have you guys look and watch over my shoulder while I learn. I like to do that privately. It's a very intimate act for me. Okay? I don't want you watching me while I do something so private. But here you are, wanting to know things immediately. I don't know these things. Okay? And I can't do it in front of you. I get shy. I don't like it. Also, it's too hot for me to be wearing earphones. I see all these other streamers, they sit there, they learn actively on stream, they look it up, they read it out, that's not me, it's not who I am. Nothing wrong with it if it happens sometimes. Just a slip. Streaming is bizarro. I wish other people, I should be able to do that. And I'm like, then I do it and I'm like, you're bored. You're bored. You're watching me read something and it's boring. And that I freak out. I don't like that. And then I'm like, I don't like, if I don't find immediately what I'm like, you fucking suck at research. How have you not found it immediately? Have you, or like you click on a link and like, okay, we watch that because that's the only fucking thing on YouTube that was even close to mildly addressing the issue. And then it's like, oh, it's a Trump lawyer. Okay. The bad source was the only source available at my fingertips for 2 seconds. I don't like it. Okay. if I was allowed to just like, I can even get a fucking lawyer. I could go and get Leah, or I can get, I can. I'm just letting you know. I'm letting you know my insecurities, because when I share the burden, it's less burdensome for me. Okay? Cool. He's a Trump with a lisp, and the lisp was cute, and I'm not even gonna, Where's the thing I wanted to read about? Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Also, just another quick annoyance that I had with. See, I'm annoyed. When I'm in pain, everything annoys me. Okay. My tolerance level goes to 0. That movie last night, they have the main character, Rami Malek, be this psychologist who's like studying evil and finding all of these like revelations about the nature of evil. Just this random egotistical loser who accidentally became friends with Goring, and they try and like attribute all of Hannah Arendt's kind of meaningful work to him. There are like no women in the movie except one woman who fucking does the lead guy dirty, obviously. And it's just like, okay, so you took an actual Jewish woman who escaped the Holocaust, her work on the banality of evil from Eichmann in Jerusalem, you attribute it to this random fucking loser, and what? This random fucking, you take her work, which she got crucified for, by the way. Absolutely, like, the backlash she got for Eichmann in Jerusalem was insane. You take all of that, the stuff, she was in love with a fucking Nazi. We know what psychological damage that does. No, it's not based on Eichmann in Jerusalem, it's based on Nuremberg, and it's a totally different thing. But for this story, they have taken, the lead character is like, just literally, apparently he exists. I'd never fucking heard of him in my life. But they just he's like, I'm gonna learn the psychology of evil and what influences these Nazis and how this could happen. And it's like, bro, none of us know who you fucking are. Anyway, pissed me off because I was like, you know what would be cool? Making a movie about Hannah Arendt. And then I realized that movie does exist, but wait, Meatfucker, what did you say before that? The movie is Nuremberg. And I didn't like it. I did like that cute little English actor who played the character Howie. And obviously Russell Crowe's amazing, but I don't want to go into a movie and like Goring. It's my fundamental problem with the film. Exactly, Tazzy. I don't want to like Goring. You fucked up if your movie makes Goring likable. Unless you're going to make a great point about that, which the movie didn't. I love how the characters all have to be like, excellent job. You figured out Goring is loyal to Hitler. The movie about Hannah Arendt is called Hannah Arendt. It's from 2012. It's Yeah, who the hell is Leo Woodall when he's not at home? It just annoyed me. I found the movie very annoying. And as per usual with these like superhero franchise Marvel making idiots, it's like 4 times longer than it needs to be. I didn't watch the Iris Murdoch movie. I must. They don't even make the lead US prosecutor look like a Chad. He fucks up and then the UK guy has to step in. Spoilers. The only goring I like is Nazi goring. The US psychologists are pretty famous. Not in my book. In my book, you're only famous if you're a woman. I don't want to hear the expoundings of men. Guys, what are we doing with our lives? What are we doing? Okay. Another thing I'd like to correct from the other night. Because I'm in a correction mood. I've had time to sleep on it. I slept so hard on it, in fact, that I hurt my neck a bit. But it's like... Ow! But I've, yeah. Judi Dench plays Iris. Okay, I definitely will watch it. I love... Okay, I don't think we need to really review. There's a couple of documents that I will review on stream. I gladly will. Maybe not today because I'm a bit hot. And I'm cranky. And cranky isn't a great disposition to stream in, I've decided. Ow. I do want to read the national security strategy, which we did have a look at in relation to something else a couple of weeks ago. And I do want to read the defense strategy that we had up yesterday. Elbridge Colby. I keep going back and forth on Colby because sometimes I'm like, originally I was like, back when I was doing my Substack properly, which I'm going to start up again. Back when I was properly doing my Substack, I was very committed to the influence that Elbridge Colby would have. Then when Iran got bombed, I was like, oh, okay, clearly he has no impact at all. Clearly I'm an idiot and I'm wrong. Now I'm back on Elbridge Colby as someone we should be watching a lot more. He also has a book. Oh, he did a speechy speech in 2022. New US, 9th of September. Here we go. Okay, popping this over here. Yeah, lots of Dragon Bear talk. Dragon Bear is, I'm sure you guys know, and I'm just telling you shit you already know, but Dragon Bear is like a code word for China, Russia. Code word? I don't know. I don't even know if we would call it a code word. Dragon Bear is a phrase used. Who did that, Avocadorable? Thank you, Lyrical Kitten. I'm just trying to get some of this shit open for us. I literally just read, yes, come on, where is this? He put out a defense paper really recently. He has a book called The Strategy of Denial, which was released in... So he's the Undersecretary of Defense, which means basically Elbridge Colby works on policy. He writes the policy. The second biggest political streamer, Hassan. God, this is... Okay, this is the thing about prediction. When you get it right, nothing in this world feels better. There is nothing better than calling it before it happens. Ah, it feels so good. When you get it wrong, you look like a fucking idiot. High risk, high reward. That's the problem with prediction. High risk, high reward. It's so easy to be the kind of person who on the day analyzes things, but analyzing into the future? Very cool. Analyzing incorrectly into the future? Okay, let me have a look. Sarah Payne. You guys, okay. Also, I'm building a team. I'm building a team. I have this idea. Okay, so Sarah Payne. I'm building a team of ladies who do politics on the internet, because when I get more consistent at this, I want to create a network of ladies, a girl-based order, in fact, exactly. Where there's a bunch of women like this Leah Miller, Sarah Payne, kind of a woman Avengers, where there's like, you know, Fiona Hill, a girl Illuminati, one might say, of girly pops that I talk to about things. Isn't Fiona Hill the one from who mentioned shit about Russia? Okay, we'll go. Charlie's Angels. Yes, in a way. Hang on. I don't think I can get Fiona Hill. I think she's a bit bigger than what we're looking for in this little female Avengers. Okay. Just the Angels, no Charlie. Anne Applebaum, I actually reckon I could get her. I reckon I could get an interview with her. But I'm talking less about, like, I do want to interview some prolific people, but I'm more talking about creators that I can talk to semi-regularly. Maybe even like Enemy Charlie Kirk's Avengers Angels. Where is it? The draft okay, it's currently under consideration. That's why it's been hard for. Every time you click a link, another link opens. I just want a link to the actual thing. Why is that so hard for people? Why is it so difficult? When did this guy? What do we know about Maduro? Bad guy. That's all you need to know. You don't need to overthink that. That's not really the question at play here. Was Maduro, like, people need to learn to be able to separate morality and politics a little bit more. Then when we're having a political discussion, it's not necessarily automatically the moral discussion. The moral discussion on Maduro is sorted. Maduro, bad. Easy. Moot point. God, why is this so hard to find? Amy C3 does a lot of housing stuff. I've spoken to Amy before. Okay, hang on. We're almost there, guys. Here we go. Oh, it is the national security strategy. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, well, let's just have a quick look at it anyway. Okay. We don't need that. Here we go. We don't need this. Okay, what do we want overall? This is the strategy, okay? First and foremost, we want the continued survival and safety of the United States as an independent, sovereign republic whose government secures the God-given natural right of its citizens and prioritizes their well-being and interest. We want to protect this. Let me find something that's actually interesting. I'll skip for you guys. Tell us what this means in terms of this golden dome is the stupidest shit I've ever heard, by the way. Industrial base, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we want to maintain the United States. We want to maintain the United States' unrivaled soft power through which we exercise positive influence throughout the world that furthers our interests. In doing so, we will be unapologetic about our country's past and present, while respectful of other countries' differing religions, cultures, and governing systems. Soft power that serves America's true national interest is effective only if we believe in our country's inherent greatness and decency. Okay, what do we want in and from the world? Monroe Doctrine. Okay, and this is something that I wanted to talk about, actually. Remember we had all of our we had all of our big discussion on the Monroe Doctrine, the Donroe Doctrine, the Dumbro Doctrine the other night. I don't think at all this should be interpreted as us moving back into a world of spheres of influence, because I don't think that anything, and I think we'll see it in here, I think you'll see it in everything that Elbridge Colby is saying, I think you see it in all of the strategic moves. I do not believe at all that America will accept or consent to a Chinese sphere of influence in Asia. It may consent to a Russian sphere of influence around Europe, but absolutely not in Asia. I think it will insist on an American sphere of influence in its own hemisphere, right? But deny China in Asia. So there's going to be like a hypocrisy or a contradiction. There's not going to be consistency in the worldview, nor does there need to be, right? It's like, it's this US exceptionalism that we always see, where it's like the United States is allowed a sphere of influence and Russia can maybe have one, but not you. Rules for thee, but not for, rules for thee, but not for me, right? Or like, no rules except for the rules that I try to enforce. So, I think that it's very difficult for China as well, because they're in a situation where there's a lot of self-interested, powerful countries around China. It's not an easy situation for them to develop a sphere of influence in the same sort of way. They're not going to roll over and say that, someone like China can decide what happens in the region. And it's not, the point of saying that as well is it's when it comes to the Asia Pacific, it's not just China and America that get to have a say in what happens in this region. The countries in this region are too powerful. So it's not going to be America and China exclusively dictating what the future of Asia looks like. This is not true. So yeah, I would like to say I don't think any sort of deal as well. Also, there's I wish Tria was here, because some of the language used in the Chinese response to what happened in Venezuela is very interesting. They use certain language that they very rarely use. So it's clear that they had no idea that this was coming. So whatever happened in Anchorage, like, China was not briefed on what was going to happen here. I think it's quite obvious that China didn't know. And this security strategy that we're looking at, even though it suggests a more classic kind of balance of power situation, I don't think it's going to allow, just in the same way that we saw, like last stream, that there's a difference between not Chinese leaders, but Chinese negotiators. And China is very risk averse. It's not something that they would do. They wouldn't, even with assurances, they wouldn't send negotiators in or an envoy in if they knew that this was going to happen. So in the same way that we looked at like the Monroe Doctrine under Monroe and Jackson, and then we looked at how that transformed and was different under McKinley and Roosevelt, and now Donald's trying to say, oh, it's the Donroe Doctrine, it's different under him. I do actually think that it is different under him, and it isn't so much a kind of like, we just want to focus on our backyard. While I do think there is a desire to have a stronger sphere of influence on the like technate and the Western Hemisphere, I don't think that there's any space for allowing China to get a foothold in. And exactly like you said, Squelch, there's a lot of, the supply to oil to China is, listen, even though half of Venezuela's exports go to China, it only makes up something like 4 to 6% of Chinese oil, and it's so easily replaced by them. So this isn't like a huge deal, but over time, hang on, let me just see. Over time, I think that it could become, I definitely think it's one of the many like pressure points that's trying to be established. For instance, if Panama goes, right? If Greenland goes, you're starting to block up trade routes as well. In the same way that like Somaliland blocks a trade route. As you're slowly blocking these trade routes, I think you're creating extra pressure on China. Let's hang on. Let's have a looky. Because I did want my bro Elbridge. Is this gonna have a? Oh my god! I gotta get a paywall remover. Hang on. The funniest thing that he said to me that I can't get over, he's kind of like an advent calendar for weird things we don't know about when he speaks. He like says stuff in a way that kind of like drip feeds us like, hang on, what are you talking about? It could be absolute nonsense, or it could be alluding to something much bigger that we don't know about, right? His insistent discussions on the fact that they did it in the dark of night, that it was dark, that it was so dark, everything that happened was so dark, on a night when it was a full moon. So it was actually strategically not a good dark night to go and do this mission. And he referenced something to do with, hang on. Let me look on my hand computer. See if I can find it. Oh, just something totally different that I want to bring up the one thing that I care about in terms of the degradation of international law is like, if we're out here kidnapping foreign leaders, then I fuck climate change, right? Like, who's going to enforce meeting your emissions goals? He didn't say it was the darkest of all nights, but he said something very weird about light. I wish I could find it now. He said something very strange. It was something to do with technology and light. I'll find it and I'll put it in the Discord. But he said something along the lines of like, we have technologies to do with light that are doing... I'm like, what do you mean? I'm almost certain it was classic Trump nonsense. But then my brain is also like, what is he talking about? What do you mean you have technologies to do with light? What is he talking? I don't know what photonics is. I want to know what he's up to with the light. Certain capabilities. Yeah, I think so. Let me just look for that. The power went out, so maybe he was just talking about that. Okay, so maybe it's boring and he just cut the power. Whereas I'm like, they took the moon. They hid the moon from Venezuela. We're very powerful. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is. It's the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. It's this, yeah, I think I'll... I don't know. I like the idea that they took the moon. That's what I'm working on. That's the logic I'm working with. Okay. Moon logic. It was dark. The lights of... Oh, they were turned off. Okay. It was dark and it was deadly. Guys, I got it in... I have to tell you something. So embarrassing, but I'm willing to admit it. I get nervous now because I have like, hang on. No, I'm not going to tell you. This is staying with me. Okay. Pentagon's policy guy is all in on China. I think this is worth us reading. Elbridge Colby wants the US military to pivot toward Asia, even if that means turning away from Europe and the Middle East. Elbridge Colby believes that China is the only country on the planet that has the ambition, resources, and military might to knock the United States off its pedestal as the world's leading superpower. I don't know if I agree. Maybe. Much to think about. Most in President Donald Trump's administration agree, but even by the standards of MAGA world, Colby is a divisive figure. This is what I've spoken about before on my Substack. First realist to be put into this kind of position in an administration. Also, he's a Obama guy. Even though he ended up being a Trump guy, he started as an Obama guy. He worked in a Clinton think tank. But it's very rare to have a realist in a policy position in an administration. And by very rare, I mean it has never happened before. The Pentagon Policy Master's prescription for how to counter China's rise explains why. The only way to stop Beijing's bid for global dominance, he has argued, is for the United States to pour everything it can into securing the Western Pacific, even if doing so comes at the expense of combating Russia or maintaining US influence in the Middle East. Colby didn't always think this way. During Trump's first term, he wrote a strategy document that advocated continuing to try to do it all, as superpowers do, but his attitude has evolved, and along the way, he has amped up the ire among his enemies, including fellow Republicans and US allies abroad. Colby's worldview was at the root of US indecision this summer over whether to provide Ukraine with badly needed weapons. When the US military cancelled an expected shipment late last month, I don't know when this article is from, July of last year, catching even the White House off guard, the blame and credit went to Colby. It was an unlikely moment in the spotlight for a policy wonk whose stance had, until recently, been little noticed beyond the world of the Beltway think tanks. Some on the right, including hawkish GOP senators, seized upon the decision as evidence that Colby should be ousted and began pushing the White House to act. Others in the MAGA movement cheered the suspension, Tucker Carlson, a longtime Colby fan, and described the move as evidence of a truly America-first national security strategy. Both wings of the movement were ultimately disappointed. Within days of the pause, Trump not only reversed it, he went a step further in providing new support to Kyiv. And far from being fired, Colby appears secure in his position at the Pentagon, his influence undiminished. In some ways, Colby personifies an ongoing shift within the Republican Party. Trump has moved away from positioning the US as defender of the post-Cold War order and towards preserving its resources for threats that directly affect the US homeland, with China at the top of the list. During Trump's first term, Colby led the development of the 2018 National Defense Strategy. The document concluded that the US must be prepared to confront a wide range of threats beyond China, including from Russia, and also must be able to counter rogue regimes such as North Korea and Iran, defeat terrorist threats to the United States, and consolidate our gains in Iraq and Afghanistan while moving to a more resource-sustainable approach. More recently, Colby has come to the view that to meet the supreme challenge of China, other priorities will have to be sacrificed. Oh. Yeah, he doesn't speak to the media. He also doesn't tweet, which is strange for this administration. I'm looking for something. And by that I mean I'm looking for something interesting. If you don't like what Mearsheimer had to say about Ukraine, you should definitely look up what he has to say about Venezuela. Okay, I don't think there's anything interesting here. I actually don't want to read today. I don't want to read. I don't want to read. I want to watch something, but I'm also worried that if I watch something, I'll Okay, let's just see in here. Rebalance America's economic relationship with China. Meanwhile, it frames the outsized influence of larger, richer, and stronger nations as a timeless truth of internet. Okay, so makes right, which in turn leads the United States to reject ill-fated concepts of global domination in favor of. So, okay, this balance of power thing is being said. Where is it? No, I'm from the English school. Do you want to learn about it? This is my school. I'm not a realist. I'm a liberal realist. It's a totally different thing. It's the predominant international relations school that is taught at ANU. It basically has its start at ANU. So because I did strategic studies at ANU, strategic security, this is basically what you are taught. The English school stands for the conviction that ideas, rather than simply material capabilities, shape the conduct of international politics and therefore deserve analysis and critique. In this sense, it is similar to constructivism, though the English school has its roots more in world history, international law, and political theory, and is more open to normative approaches than is generally the case with constructivism. Where's my guy? Where's my guy? Charles Manning. My guy. My guy. My guy. What I do is fucking hurt him. Who am I hurting? Who did I hurt? So yeah, we do have some pluralities with classical political realism, but to be very clear, Mearsheimer is not a classical realist. He is an offensive realist, which is a different school. Oh, cute. Christian realism? Don't know about that. Waltz? Structural neo-realism? Went. Linklater. Foucault. Oh, yeah, Putin. Well, no, there's Putin and whatever happened at Anchorage. I am willing to speculate that there is something going on. In the future, we will find out that there is something going on between Putin and fuckface Donald Trump. Because wait. There's the Fiona Hill testimony from 2019, which is circulating a lot at the moment for people who are monitoring the situation, like me. Monitors of the situation will have seen that the 2019 testimony of Fiona Hill is being brought up quite a lot. I'll pop this up here for you guys. Here. Hang on. What is Oz support for Ukraine like? We're supporting. We support. Meaning is use in terms of international relations. My philosophy background and my international relations background have literally nothing to do with one another. It was a complete zag in my life, okay? I'm a big zigzagger, and I zagged, okay? Eddie, I considered that, and I think that there are a lot of competing logics around him, and that he does do what the last person said, which does create the kind of like inconsistency in his leadership that we all see, and we're like, oh, what the fuck is he doing? Because and I also said there's a strong, when it comes to foreign policy, if you look at everyone around him, they're so different in terms of what they believe. Like JD Vance and Marco Rubio are not on the same page foreign policy wise. And I definitely do think there is the reason that leads me to think spectacle as well in terms of, thank you for subbing. Thank you, Meat Fugger. I do think as well that a spectacle, a great way that you can see spectacle, and America loves doing spectacle in terms of acts of war. Donald Trump, in particular, is a big fan of acts of war, even though he's not necessarily a fan of war. He loves a good in and out moment, a big bomb and one and done, right? He loves an act of war, plays well on TV, very theater, very, the key way to distinguish, in my mind, a spectacle from a real event is that a real event sticks with you. A real event makes a mark. So your 9/11, your beginning of COVID, your Columbine, these, even though these are spectacle in terms of like, there's a lot of symbolism and imagery and they capture the attention, they leave a mark, right? You don't forget about these things. But certain things like the bombing of Iran or the bombing of Nigeria, or even to an extent the bombing of the kidnapping of Maduro, these are events that will be out of the news in a week, which to me, I don't know, I don't truly know about Venezuela, but in terms of the other things, it's like, oh, we bombed Iran and nothing's going to happen. Okay. And then it's done. And to me, that's kind of indicative of a spectacle, something that is done to look over there, more so than an actual act. So I'm not against believing that this is there to distract from the Epstein files, but I'm also not against the idea that it can serve that purpose and serve other purposes. In that, obviously, this is something that they were prepping for months. They didn't do it on Christmas Day because they decided to bomb Nigeria instead. And so I'm willing to believe that, yeah, it could be distracting from... JD wasn't at the press conference, something I raised on the night as suspicious, but apparently he was on his way to Israel. So it could just be... But I also feel like kidnapping a foreign leader is kind of something you delay your trip to Israel for? I don't know. I did kind of want to write a Substack piece. I just feel so on the nose. Like, tell me if it's corny as fuck. Wait, I need your opinion, guys. And I feel like lots of people are going to write the Substack piece on this, so maybe I don't need to. But Baudrillard and like the Gulf War didn't happen in America and how that aligns with this current moment and the Trump administration. It feels like there could be a Substack piece on that. Or I was going to write a Substack piece on the dumb bro doctrine, which is what I view as this current moment sort of thing. But, well, the interesting thing is, Frog, when we were covering Venezuela a couple of weeks ago, the intel that was coming out was that the oil companies weren't necessarily all that interested in Venezuela. And I'm interested to see what ends up happening with this oil conglomerate, because it's unclear the extent to which the oil companies are being consulted, etc., blah, blah, blah. Also, I think it's very funny that WAPO and the New York Times both, yes, I think you're right. Baudrillarian? We'll just say that. They were like, we can't tell Congress because Congress likes to leak. But then it's like, okay, but it did leak. It leaked to the, so the media is more subservient to the current administration than Congress is. Very interesting. Hang on. This is what we were looking at. It's a Fiona Hill testimony from 2019, her deposition. Control F. How do I... Control F? There we go. Yay. And I was also told by Amos and other colleagues that they had some linkages. So I also want to, get you to step back at this period. This is, March, April into May, where we were having a standoff over Venezuela. And the Russians at this particular juncture were signaling very strongly that they wanted to somehow make some very strange swap arrangement between Venezuela and Ukraine. In other words, if we were going to exert some semblance of the Monroe Doctrine of, Russia keeping out of our backyard, because this is after the Russians had sent in these hundreds of operatives essentially to, basically secure the Venezuelan government and, to preempt what they were obviously taking to be some kind of US military action. They were basically signaling, you have your Monroe Doctrine. You want us out of your backyard. Well, we have our own version of this. You're in our backyard in Ukraine. And we were getting that sent to us, kind of informally through channels. It was in the Russian press, various commentators. And I was asked to go out to Russia in this time frame to basically tell the Russians to knock this off. I was given a special assignment by the National Security Council with the agreement with the State Department to get the Russians to back off. So in the course of my discussions with my colleagues, I also found out that there were Ukrainian energy interests that had been in the mix in Venezuelan energy sector, as well as the names, again, of Mr. Parnas and Mr. Fruman. I could get Lev Parnas. I could get him. Rudy Giuliani. Everyone's involved. So this was in Trump 1.0. Okay. So if that was operational intel in Trump 1.0, then you can bet it's Kremlin Trump policy now. This isn't a new idea. This isn't a new thought. And the fact that this Venezuela thing is happening at the same time that there's a peace negotiation happening between Ukraine and Russia, do I believe that Trump has sold Ukraine down the fucking river. And this was also in, this guy, how do I open something without it? Guys, I have to learn how to open an X thing without it opening my X. Okay, perfect. Hang on. So this is Russian state TV.
Следующие выборы пойдет Трамп и выиграет. Выиграет. В следующем, в 2024 году выиграет Трамп. Я думаю. И мы могли бы помочь ему. Мы могли бы ему помочь этой осенью, реально вмешаться. Мы ничего не делали, когда его избирали в 2016 году. Мы сейчас а в 2020, если его голова бы немножко работала, он бы нас попросил бы кое-что сделать, кое-где. И там бы он выиграл бы вместе с нами. Мы там, допустим, по Украине бы свою позицию заняли правильную. А ему дали возможность по Венесуэле, к Венесуэла берет, мы Украину. И он говорит всем, вот смотрите, Венесуэла. Завтра я возьму. Что-то помог бы ему. Но никто ничего не делает. Если Трамп нам нужен, так давайте ему поможем. Зачем? Что зачем? Чтобы он остался снова. А зачем нам нужен Трамп? Что нам Трамп сделал хорошего? Больше всего санкций ввел Трамп. Его в зависимости от нас, как вы не понимаете, чтобы дергать, доить, дергать. Следующие выборы пойдет Трамп и выиграет. Выиграет.
I don't know, guys. I don't think it's good for that. How could this possibly benefit Ukraine? I don't see it as benefiting Ukraine at all. Trump has not at all signaled any willingness to help Zelensky or Ukraine at all. He has not exhibited any willingness to be in with Europe for all intents and purposes, every time he's spoken about the issue, he has tried to frame Ukraine as the problem party. And I even think that this not like that at the press conference, and someone was like, have you spoken to Putin? Like, are you guys on good terms? Gave him the kind of T-esque question that he liked. It was an opportunity for him to act like he was ecstatic to be asked that question, because it was an opportunity for him to make it look like he and Putin were on bad terms. When these guys are publicly saying that they're on bad terms with one another, when he's saying he's on bad terms with Netanyahu, when he's saying he's on bad terms with Putin, he's not. He is signaling publicly that that he, oh, you know, he's being very naughty, he better do what I say. In the same way a dad will like punch the shoulder of his son and be like, oh, you know, this one always giving me a hard time, always, you know, making things difficult for me, but we'll get him, we'll show him, won't we? That's what it is. It's not, he's not really in an argument with Putin. He's not. Bedside Bed Guy, Barron was actually, it was a SEALs team and Barron took the moon out. That's why it was so dark on the mission. The thing is, oil doesn't operate that quick. Like, when people talk about how bad the Venezuelan oil situation is, yeah, it's going to be 3 to 5 years before anything is up and running. And so I don't think that that is going to be the case at all. Oh shit, you're back? Hell yeah, I'm back. Hell yeah. Greenland's fucked as well, guys. Everywhere's fucked. What is the order? What order would I anticipate? I actually think, well, what did he say? 2 months before Greenland. 444 angel numbers. Angel numbers. It's really important you guys focus. Did I do my 2026 predictions bingo? No, I didn't. But I did. And there are people in this chat who will, guys, you need to tell Bed-Stuy Bed Guy that this is legit true and actually happened, because I know some of you were there. I did coverage of Venezuela before the press conference, and I said, they're going to say this was a police operation and not a military operation. They are going to say, they're going to mention the Monroe Doctrine. They're going to call it the Monroe Doctrine. They're going to call it the Donroe Doctrine. So I got 3 predictions at least. What else did I say? No, I think that's all I said. I think that's all I predicted. But I did make predictions that came true. The insider trading on Polymarket, I think, was barren. I actually, if you want me to make a barren prediction, I think the Polymarket insider trading was barren. I 100% think he'll do Greenland, and I think that the Kingdom of Denmark also thinks that he's going to go for Greenland. I have always thought he'll go for Greenland because all of his tech friends want Greenland because they want the critical minerals there. And in the same way that he'll say it's a national security thing, to an extent, yes, it's a national security thing. Let me just get my Greenland document up. Yeah, to an extent, there's the there is the controlling of the northern shipping route of China, right? So yes, there's the national security if you want to count trading routes as national security. But it's the natural resources that are there in terms of the critical minerals that the tech guys want, and the tech guys want to create another one of their weird tech states in Greenland. That's what they want it for. I need to learn how to bet. Because clearly this is, oh, guys, I'm such a loser. I need to tell you about this. I bought a lottery ticket. I normally don't gamble at all. I definitely don't gamble. ever. But this thing came up that was like $30 million lotto. And I was like, I just had a feeling about it. And I was like, I'm going to win that. So I bought a ticket, one ticket. Every single day between buying the ticket and waking up, I wrote on my to-do list, win the lottery. And I didn't even tell my mum. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want to jinx it. I didn't tell anyone about I didn't tell anyone that I bought the ticket. I kept it a big secret. The day of the thing, mum came home and she like had all these lotto tickets. And I was like, oh, you entered the lotto. Still didn't say anything. Because I knew I was going to win. I didn't want to jinx it. I couldn't every day win the lotto on my to-do list. I'm like so shocked. I did not win. And I was genuinely so upset. It was crushing. I was so sure. I don't know what it was. I had such a strong feeling. And all of that secret keeping, all of my to-do list manifestation, it all came to nothing, nada. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, okay, yeah, let me get to this Greenland thing. Here are my predictions. Similar to Hasanabi's, this is how I think it's going to go. Okay? Well, what did that optimism get me, Hannah? Fuck all. I was so sure. Ugh. Okay. I think there'll be some sort of escalation in the Middle East that will effectively tariff Chinese exports to the EU. Okay? Next is going to be Panama Canal and Greenland under US control because we're going to want to control those trade routes. Okay? At some point, whatever that escalation is in the Middle East, it's going to be about cutting Iranian oil off. There'll be a deal between Russia and the EU. This is just my opinion, my speculation, so that China will be left starving for energy exports. Now, obviously, to an extent, they have a lot of this green new energy that they're trying to push forward, but you still need proper old school energy. So it's either going to amount to war or a pandemic in China. Now, that's my outrageous prediction. That's my worst case scenario prediction, okay? But in any case, there will be a move on Greenland, and I think there'll be a move on Panama. I think that's unavoidable under this administration. And you know what? I'm willing to say it. I'm willing to go the opposite way. Because I've never been a nothing ever happens, bro. I have never been that. I've always been a something is going to happen, bro. And I'm going to put my something's going to happen, bro money where my something going to happen, bro mouth is. And I'm going to say Panama and Greenland, Trump's coming for you. No, I didn't even get a supplementary second chance draw $2.50. I got no win. No win. The EU response, well, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Because at the moment, Denmark is responding because I don't know if you saw that Trump was literally saying, Greenland, we're going to need that for national security. And Denmark was like, you have it though. You already have a base here. We already have security agreements between us and you and the United Kingdom. Like you have everything you need in terms of national security. It's not about national security. It's about the critical resources that are there. Okay? So, and it's about that shipping route to China, which the EU isn't going to cut off. The EU isn't going to, so they will be taking Greenland. And there's nothing that anyone can do about it. Who in the hell put Greenland in the freezer? I did. What you gonna do about it? Antarctica is so hard to get to. It's the AUKUS deal is to stop the trade route that is the Malacus, the Malacus? God, guys, unfortunately, I only have enough space in my head for annoying little vocal stems like that, and I can't remember all of the trade routes in the world. Malacus trade route? Malacca? Mala. Because the thing about these subs that we got in the AUKUS deal, Malacca. Okay, it was close. The Strait of Malacca, which, hang on. Yeah, but to reroute under Australia, to detour south around Australia if the Malacca and the Lombok Straits are closed, super annoying for China. Let me show you. Okay. Strait of Malacca. Okay, so the reason we knew that AUKUS had nothing to do with us is because those nuclear subs can't actually defend us anywhere that we need, but they are deep enough and effective enough to block off the Strait of Malacca, which connects the South China Sea and by extension the Pacific Ocean with the Indian Ocean. So it's important, that one. The South China Sea, high concentration. Strait of Malacca has raised concerns about its vulnerability as a strategic choke point. Frequently claim that 5.3 trillion worth of goods transit through the South China Sea annually, with 1.2 trillion of their total accounting for trade with the USA. Blah, blah, blah. What happens if you have to... China's reliance on South China Sea leaves it vulnerable to maritime trade disruptions in 2023, blah, blah, blah. I want to know how much it costs. I thought Malacca sounded familiar, drag and drop. I'm not American, I'm Australian, mate. Calculating. No, I want to know how much it costs if you have to go under. Here. While there are several major transit routes or sea lines of communication that offer entry into the South China Sea, the Sunda Strait and the Lombok Strait among them, the Strait of Malacca is by far the most widely used. It is the shortest, therefore, most economical passageway between Pacific and Indian Oceans. There are a variety of scenarios that could disrupt trip. Short-term peacetime disruption would force vessels to either wait, alternative route. So this is the route that we were interested in, the orange route. Okay, so if we take 64 million... No, I want to know if we have to go the big way. I don't even have a name for the big way. Anyway, who cares? The point is, the orange route is extremely expensive. We don't want to take the orange route. China does not want to take the orange route. And we could put a little sub in here. And then it'd be over for you guys. Wait, you can't see what I'm doing with my mouse. You can now. Put a little sub right here. You think we're going to let you go through here? Our biggest trade partner? Maybe. Oh dear. What are we doing with our lives, guys? We didn't win the fucking lotto. We didn't do... Hi, Tigan. Yeah, checkmate. Checkmate. Also, did you see Stephen Miller's wife, who works for Elon Musk, by the way, put up the picture of the Technate with an American flag on it? So the... well, let's just see if we can find it. I did. What you gonna do about it? Oh, did you take it down, Katie? Did you take it down? That's okay, because someone's put it up on Reddit. Here. This is Stephen Miller's wife. posting this right after Maduro. This is Greenland with an American flag on it. Okay. Not only is this Stephen Miller's wife, she is an employee of Elon Musk. Okay. And the night that the Maduro thing happens, Elon Musk and Donald Trump have dinner for the first time since Elon Musk said that Donald Trump was in the Epstein files. So these bros are friends again. And you know, all the tech guys constantly tweet about how they want Greenland. Okay? And they want Greenland. What's his name? Oh God, I can't remember all these losers' names. I did a video on this on my Substack, a video about Greenland and the risk that was happening to Greenland. One of the guys who runs like the network state sort of thing, Dryden? Is that his name? Yeah, Dryden Brown. So Dryden Brown, who runs Praxis, which is a crypto city that already exists, kind of. It has no location yet, but it exists in the internet and people are signing up and buying citizenship. Dryden Brown went to Greenland to try and offer to buy it himself. And they've sent multiple people to Greenland to try and buy it. All of these tech guys, they want Greenland. Stephen Miller's wife / Elon Musk's employee is already posting this. Trump says we'll focus on Greenland in 2 months, but we're going to need to take it. They'll try and buy it first. That's what they'll try and do. But they've demonstrated that they're not afraid to take it. The main question, I don't know how you would take Greenland by force. I don't know what you would do there. I don't know how you would do that. They're going to try and buy it. But I don't know what that means either. We can talk more about Greenland next time when I do my private research, my private, very intimate research that I like to do in the dark. But, nuke them. Kill Claudio. You kill me to deny it. Do more for me with your hand and swear by it. Wait, did I open this already? Yeah, anyway. Yeah, that's what Greenland is saying. We already have access to it, but it's the same thing as Venezuela, right? Like, you have to take control of it in order to get control of its resources. In the same way that Donald Trump keeps saying that all of the oil in Venezuela was stolen oil from America that belongs to them, the critical resources in Greenland is what he wants. And having a national security relationship, okay, sure, amazing, that's great, yes, you already have that. If that were the real reason, it would make no sense. If the real reason that you wanted Greenland was for national security, then yeah, it's stupid. We don't, like, why would we need to do it? We already have it in terms of national security. But that's because it's not because of national security, it's because of the critical minerals. They're resource maxing. And they want to shut the strait as well, but like, they want to shut the trade route, but you might be able to convince... I don't even think you could convince the Danes to shut the trade route. But let's say you could. We didn't have the access to Venezuela like we do Greenland. You can't get the minerals belong to the Danes. You can't just take their minerals. Greenland's doing something naughty. We just don't quite know what it is yet. But we'll see. I do think it's odd that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are now suddenly on talking terms again. Well, the orcas didn't do much about the billionaire dinner, did they? The billionaire New Year's Eve party, the orcas were suspiciously quiet. They had an opportunity. Everyone was in one spot and they did nothing. yes, they do operate there. A lot of them, including one of Peter Thiel's companies. Oh my God, thank you. Thanks, Meatfucker. One of Elon Musk, what's his critical minerals company called? Critical, but it's not the same as being able to say that they're your minerals. Then the guys don't have to buy them. It's just theirs. There are things that the tech guys want to do in Greenland that they are not currently being allowed to do. I don't know. I can't remember. I got to do a romance recap between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And we can do it like a reality show to see where we're up to in the story. Like this season on Grey's Anatomy. No, it's a romance. They're in love. Okay, guys. Short stream today because I'm in pain. But I've got much to look into next time. And if there's something you want Grey to focus on, just write it in the thingy-mabobby and we'll look into it. But yeah, I think we should be looking at an expansion into Panama and Greenland and an aim to create a pandemic in China. I don't watch cricket. I'll cover that next time in sport. Yeah, they're going to build server farms. That's what they want to do. They want to take all the minerals. So let me just find out what this Thiel company's called. They want to have their own, they don't want to have to follow any regulations. Like that's a big thing. There are lots of regulations in Greenland because they actually care about their fucking environment. That's very annoying for these people. They don't want to do that. Not Rock Tech Lithium. That's his Canada one. Not General Matter. The one in Greenland. Not Valor. No, not one of his investment firms. He actually is funding a program, Critical Metals Corp, which is developing in the Kvanfjeld rare earths part of one of the rare earths fields in Greenland. But big tech definitely wants a US takeover. Cobalt metals. That's another one of them. Because they're using AI to locate the rare metals in the ground. Cobalt spelt K-O-B. Yeah, they want to make it into a praxis. Cobalt metals for those playing at home. But I go over all of this in my Greenland thing on my Substack. And obviously Mark Andreessen funds Cobalt and funds Praxis. And it's also partly funded by Pronomus Capital that fund Praxis. So the idea is that they want... Where is it? Let me have a look here. So when they try to propose mines, they tried to propose a mine years ago, and because of the potential of impact on critical fishing industries and food supplies, it was blocked. And then things get blocked a lot because of the environment. They don't want to do extraction because the price is too high in terms of the climate. Lots of environmental protections, which is what Trump would aim to remove if he owned Greenland. Dryden tried to buy it. Yeah, we know this. He offered $500 million a year, and that would subsidize 20% of the Danish economy, and they said no. But yeah, it's about critical minerals, and nothing else. Because at the moment, China has 70% of global rare earth mining. But did you see, you know what I love? I love the simplicity of Trump's mind. He was talking about rare minerals today, saw it on the news, and he was like, they're not rare, they're everywhere. You just got to dig them out of the ground. Fucking genius. Yeah, regulation from the government of Greenland are quite high. They have really strict regulations, including both environmental and social considerations, local benefits such as taxes, the requirements to use a local workforce, use local companies, things for education. So that's what they would want to be getting rid of. They're just rocks, guys. It's like, I will never forget when he did the autism thing and he was like, we're putting such a big amount of vaccines in such little babies. And it's like, that's not how that works. But in his mind, that is how that works. Like, so big vaccine, so little baby. Rare earth minerals? What are you talking about? They're in the ground. They're not rare, they're in the ground. You idiots. If it were a huge baby, maybe it could have 2 vaccines. If there's a movement for Greenlandian independence, I'd be questioning it too. If it's suddenly, in the same way that if there's a, I'm more skeptical about Canada, but if Alberta suddenly got really finicky and up in their bits about secession, I'd be questioning it. Anyway, I'm getting conspiratorial, which means it's time for me to leave.